Hey, it's Dr. Augustine. Today we're going to talk about leaky gut. What is it? How do we determine it? What problems does it cause? And how do we solve this issue? So let's look at the computer here. This is an example of the inner skin lining of your small intestine, and you have cells here. And each of these cells that line your small intestine have these things called tight junctions. Ideally, this would be normal, healthy tissue. However, because of the causes, because of gluten, maybe you've heard of gluten. Gluten's in all wheat products. Gluten can cause damage to your small intestinal lining. So can bugs, bacteria, virus, parasite, fungus, yeast, and other toxins. Toxins can damage the lining of your small intestine, and therefore create this issue to the right side here called leaky gut, which basically means that these undigested foods, bugs, toxins, and things can fall into your bloodstream where your immune system is very strong and robust. What happens then is that your immune system can look at these different undigested foods or bacteria, and it looks at the receptor sites and it determines that, gosh, that stuff looks just like your thyroid or your brain or your pancreas. And this is when it switches to become autoimmune disease. So therefore, what does leaky gut cause? It causes autoimmune disease, cancers, heart disease, and also neurodegenerative illnesses like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, multiple sclerosis, Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, things of that sort. So how do you know if you have leaky gut? Leaky gut can give you symptoms. You can have bloating, gas, indigestion, constipation, diarrhea, or you can even have no symptoms. However, if you have some of these other illnesses, you might want to look at your gut. The determining factor, the way that we mostly determine it, is by a test that's called a GI map. It's actually a DNA stool test. This test is amazing, and unfortunately, your medical doctors won't do this test. We do this here in office. Actually, we give you a test kit to take home, and we will get the results right back in our computer. So right now, we're going to actually look at a GI map report. Here is the report, and it gives us tons of details. Bacterial pathogens are the really bad, nasty bacteria that can actually cause acute gastrointestinal illness like diarrhea or vomiting, things of that sort. And up here, the worst bug imaginable that you never want to get is something that's called C. diff. In this example, this person has both toxin A and toxin B, and classically you'll get this from an overuse of antibiotics. How many of you out there have had tons of antibiotics in your lifetime? You can cause permanent damage to your gut, so that's why your gut is so essential to take care of. We're going to scroll down further. Parasitic pathogens, viral pathogens like norovirus. Norovirus is unfortunately contract if you go into a restaurant and you have some soup, and literally 20 minutes later and all of a sudden you have to go and vomit or diarrhea, really terrible stuff. That's norovirus. H. pylori. H. pylori can cause indigestion, heartburn, or it can even cause gastric cancer. Also, it's known to cause stomach ulcers. And depending on the virulence factor will determine which type of H. pylori that you have, which can be a big problem. Right at the very top of your digestion, because what starts in the top end of your digestion will cause what goes on in the bottom end. And we'll talk about that in future videos. So if we come down lower, normal bacteria, you can have an overgrowth of normal bacteria that's also known to be SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Some more bacteria that can get out of control. Down lower. Now these are the bad guys, the dysbiotic bad bacteria that we don't want to see. In this case, this person has quite a bit. This is really interesting. Potential autoimmune triggering bugs. So this is where we're talking about. You have some of these bugs combined with leaky gut, and guess what's falling into your bloodstream is autoimmune triggering bugs that can cause autoimmune disease. So we don't want to see this either. It also measures fungus and yeast, candida. You probably heard of candida as a fungus. Viruses, Epstein-Barr cytomegalovirus. Moving down, more parasites, worms. This is a section that I love, intestinal health. Very top, it looks at how well your pancreas and pancreatic enzymes are doing for digestion. The next one, called steatocrit, measures how well your gallbladder is doing to process fats. Other GI markers, inflammatory response, or inflammatory markers called beta-glucuronidase, Do you have any occult blood, hidden blood in your stool? Immune system, secretory IgA to measure immune response. Do you have a response or an allergy or sensitivity against gluten? It measures that as well. The very bottom, the most important, is zonulin. Zonulin is that protein that binds up your cells in your small intestine. So if it goes high in your stool test, which it is here on this person right there, that means that's the proof that this person has leaky gut. So leaky gut combined with those autoimmune triggering bugs will develop into autoimmune disease. Rheumatoid arthritis, lupus. An example, we have a patient recently, Lorraine. We'll actually be showing a testimonial video pretty soon with her. Lorraine had this super rare autoimmune disease that was affecting her mouth and throat. She had her mouth and throat would break out in these terrible sores, and obviously hard to swallow and eat food, and it was just dreadful. Of course, no cure for this, right? Did this sort of testing, discovered root causes. We never treated Lorraine's autoimmune disease. We worked at this deep foundational level and solved these problems. Guess what Lorraine has done? She solved it completely. She has no more of this autoimmune disease. So what we did with Lorraine is what I call the 4 R's. The first R is to remove the bad guys. We talked about the potential autoimmune triggering bacteria. So we want to remove that by putting in some good guys, which would be the probiotic bacteria. That's going to help remove some of these bad guys. Also, there's some other things that we would do to really get rid of the bad guys that don't do any bad thing at all to your gut lining or to your good probiotic bacteria. There's some things to do there. The second R is to replace them with good guys, which would be probiotic bacteria. The third R is to repair the gut lining. So we want this to heal, and there's some nutrients to do there to get this to heal up, and instead of this leaky gut on the right side to look more like this side with tight junctions. And then lastly, we want to restore her digestibility by putting in some digestive enzymes that are going to be really good. We're going to cover this in more detail in a follow-up video with this. That's actually how it works, and that's how we solved this process or problem for Lorraine, and she's doing extremely well now. So in summary, leaky gut is measurable, it's testable, you can also have symptoms from it. Why is it so important? It's because it can cause heart disease, cancer, autoimmune disease, and neurodegenerative processes like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and dementia and all of those. Critical to really discover it. One major way, and unfortunately here your doctors wouldn't test for it, that we use, it's called the GI map testing. This testing is amazing, and if you can't get this done, you really want to get this done, I would suggest giving us a call. We have a free discovery consultation, so if you call my office at 562-860-3404, schedule that. We can chat and see if this would be beneficial for you. So I'm also on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, as well as Instagram. My name is Dr. Augustine. Have a great day.